Jai Jinendra, Panchaparmeshti ko Naman. Welcome to my channel Love for Jainism by Neha Gandhi Gill. Today, we enter part 3, the final and the most glorious chapters of Shripal Rajano Raas. This is where everything finally comes together. In our journey today, we begin with a quick recap and then enter part 3. This takes us through Shripal's victories, his homecoming, the reunion at Ujjayini, and the final battle that restores his destiny. We uncover the karmic truths behind his life and end with Jainism's timeless learnings. Stay with me till the end. The final revelation of his past life connects every victory, every suffering, every miracle. Let's recap the journey so far. King Prajapal, angered by his daughter Maina Sundari's belief in karma, forced her to marry a leper named Shripal. She accepted this calmly as her destiny. Under their guru's guidance, Shripal and 700 lepers were cured through Navpad Aaradhana. Shripal's true identity then emerged, an exiled prince facing past life karma. Their journey shows how unwavering faith in Jain Dharma, Navpad devotion, Guru guidance, and sincere purusharth can transform even the harshest karmic destiny. But Shripal's rise had only just begun. The cured prince Shripal set out on a voyage to earn his name. His continued Navpad devotion, courage and valor, and divine siddhis helped him gain immense wealth and marry three princesses Madan Sena, Madan Manjusha, Madan Manjari. His devotion repeatedly saved him from the wicked Dhaval Seth, whom he forgave again and again, even performing his final rites and returning his ships to his sons. Have you watched part 1 and part 2? If not, do watch them. The link are in the description below. Part 3 showcases Shripal's rise. Let's begin. Shripal was living happily with his three wives in Thane city. One night, a merchant informed the king that the princess of Kundanpur, Sundari, had vowed to marry the man who would defeat her in playing the veena. A swayambar was arranged for the very next day. But how could Shripal reach Kundanpur overnight? Shripal wished to attend the swayambar, but Kundanpur was 700 miles away. After midnight, as he contemplated the Navpad, Vimleshwar Dev appeared and placed a divine necklace around his neck, granting four powers: power to take any desired form, flying through the air, mastery over all arts, and protection from poison. With these powers, Shripal's next move would surprise an entire kingdom. Using the divine necklace, Shripal flew to Kundanpur. He transformed himself into a Vaman, a short, sturdy man holding a veena and entering the city. When the gathered princes saw him, they laughed and mocked him. Little did they know who stood before them. In the royal court, Princess Sundari played her veena and spellbound the audience. No prince could match her until the Vaman stepped forward, gently pointing out the flaw and playing with unmatched mastery. The princess accepted defeat and placed the Varmala around his neck. But this was just the start of several astonishing victories. The king asked the Vaman to reveal his identity. When Shripal revealed himself, the court rejoiced. He began a joyful life with his new wife, Sundari. But destiny had more challenges ahead. A traveler informed Shripal of another Swayambar in Kanchanpur, 600 miles away. By the power of his divine necklace, Shripal transformed himself into a hunchback and flew to the city, where he stood near a pillar. And what happened next? As Princess Trilok Sundari passed all kings, the image carved on the pillar suddenly spoke. If you are wise, put your garland around the neck of this hunchback. The princess obeyed. This made the other kings furious. The furious kings threatened the hunchback with death, but he drew his sword and defeated them all. When asked to reveal himself, he returned to his true form as Shripal. He then lived happily with Trilok Sundari. In that era, a Swayamvar was a respected tradition where a man's courage and skill were tested. Winning a wife through a Swayamvar was considered a sign of true worthiness. A detective told Shripal about another Swayamvar in Dalpatan, where Princess uh, Shringar Sundari would marry the man who would solve her complex problem, a challenge unlike any he had faced before. Shripal reached Dalpatan by air. While many princes failed, Shripal came forward and placed his hand on an idol and declared that the idol will solve the problems. The idol successfully solved all the problems put forward by the princesses and her friends. Impressed by Shripal's wonderful powers, Princess Shringar Sundari chose him as a husband. Shripal's glory was further enhanced. Another challenge and another queen awaited him next. As an ambassador informed Shripal that Princess Jayasundari of Kulakpur would marry the man who could perform the almost impossible Radha Ved. This is shooting a precise target with extraordinary skill. Will Shripal succeed? Kumar Shripal went to Kolhapur, and while all kings failed, Shripal emerged successful and married Jayasundari. What happened next is totally unexpected. Shripal then returned to Thane city, called his other wives, and began a joyful life with his seven queens. During this time, his uncle Vasupal unexpectedly chose to live a life of meditation and religion. He convinced Shripal to accept the throne of Thane, which he did. Many Jains have never heard of these stories. If you are finding value, please like, share, and subscribe. Together, we will share our rich Jain heritage to our fellow Jains. Remembering his mother and his first wife, Maina Sundari, Shripal soon set out for Ujjayini with a vast army, a journey that would bring him face to face with both danger and destiny. On the way, Shripal came to Sapparpatan city. The chief minister met him and sadly informed him that the king's daughter, Princess Tilak Sundari, has been bitten by a serpent and her body was being taken for the last rites. Shripal instantly offered to cure her. He quickly reached the crematorium where the king was about to light the pyre. Shripal removed the sticks, sprinkled the divine water from his necklace over the princess's body. She immediately came back to life. Astounded and grateful, the king said, Kumar, you have given my daughter a new life. Please honor me by marrying her. Thus, Shripal, whose glory was now spreading across kingdoms, married Tilak Sundari, his eighth wife, during his extraordinary journey. With Maina Sundari, his first wife, Trilok Sundari became the ninth queen. He then continues his faithful journey back to Ujjayini. Shripal, with his huge army and eight wives, reached the outskirts of Ujjaini. King Prajapal, thinking an enemy had come to invade, ordered the city's door closed. The frightened citizens remained inside their homes. But two hearts inside the palace did not know Shripal was so near. Using the power of his divine necklace, Shripal entered Ujjaini and quietly reached his palace. Through a small opening in the door, he heard his mother, Kamal Prabha, saying softly, It has been so long since Shripal left us. Anna Sundari replied, Mother, I feel my dear husband will return today. Shripal stood frozen. The moment he longed for was finally here. Just then, Shripal knocked. It's me, mother, your son Shripal. Maina Sundari hastily opened the door. Her joy knew no bounds to see her beloved Shripal back. Shripal bowed at his mother's feet, completing the reunion after years. But Shripal had some truths to tell. Mother Kamal Prabha, was worried about the enemy surrounding the city. Shripal reassured her, saying, Mother, do not worry. That army belongs to your son. With your blessings, I have returned with great wealth. His mother and wife were overjoyed. With the power of his divine necklace, Shripal carried his mother on his shoulder and his wife on his hand, flying them both to his camp. But Maina Sundari's true grace would soon be tested in an unexpected way. Shripal's 8 queens bowed before Kamalprabha and were introduced to Maina Sundari. When asked who they were, Shripal said to Maina, "These are your younger sisters. You must look after them. Please care for them as your own." Maina Sundari, noble and pure hearted, welcomed them without a trace of envy. Shripal and King Prajapal were yet to come face to face. That night, when Mainasundri sat beside Shripal, he asked, "How do we call your father here?" She replied, "My lord, his pride must be humbled. He should come as a simple farmer with an axe on his shoulders." The next morning, Shripal sent King Prajapal a clear message: "Show your power or surrender, but you must come to me as a farmer with an axe." Following his minister's advice, King Prajapal arrived at Shripal's camp dressed as a humble farmer. Seeing Shripal, he exclaimed, "Oh Kumar, it's you." Shripal bowed and said, "Yes, O king, your son-in-law. Please forgive me for my immodesty." Prajapal now humbled. He then respectfully escorted Prajapal back to his camp. Prajapal was about to witness a truth that would shake his pride even further. In a big tent, Prajapal was seated on a golden throne. Shripal ordered the Navnatak he had received as dowry to be enacted. The chief dancer, after much persuasion, came onto the stage and danced, reciting, "Where is Malav? Where is Shankpuri? Where is Babbar? And where a dancer?" Sursundari is forced to dance, for faith is all powerful. But Prajapal still had no idea who this dancer truly was. The dancer was none other than Sursundari, Maina Sundari's sister. Once married to Prince Ariddaman, she had been captured by dacoits and sold. In that moment, King Prajapal finally understood karma. The daughter he married to a prince had become a dancer, while the daughter he married to a leper had become a queen. Shripal reunited Sursundri with Ariddaman. Shripal's greatest test still awaited him. The chief minister of Champanagri, Subuddhi, came to Kamalprabha. She reminded Shripal that Subuddhi had saved his life by exposing his uncle's conspiracy. Subuddhi then urged Shripal to reclaim his father's throne from his uncle Ajit Sen. "Kumar, what is all the wealth and power of the world when an enemy is sitting on the throne of your father?" And with these pointed words, Shripal's final battle began. Shripal immediately prepared for battle. He surrounded Champanagri and sent a message to Ajit Sen. "Uncle, you took my kingdom when I was a child. Now hand over my kingdom to me." But Ajit Sen was not ready to surrender so easily. Ajit Sen refused and fought Shripal in a fierce battle, but Shripal defeated him. Realizing his mistakes, Ajit Sen repented his past deeds and decided to observe penance on the battlefield itself. Shripal apologized to his uncle for defeating him. Shripal entered his father's city, Champanagri, with his mother and army in a grand procession. The citizens rejoiced as the head priest crowned him during an auspicious moment. Shripal then honored Maina Sundari by declaring her his chief wife. But Shripal's journey does not end there. His heart carried questions that were burdening him. If you're finding the story meaningful, please like, share, and subscribe. Every watch hour and every comment encourages me to keep bringing these priceless Jain Dharma stories to you. Now, we enter the world of karma, the most revealing part of the story. Shripal's past and future, his questions, and his destiny written by the number 9. Ajit Sen, now a monk blessed with Avadhi Gnan, which is clairvoyant knowledge, arrived in Champanagri during his travels. Shripal approached him with his family and asked, "What was my fault that I lost my throne? Why did I suffer from leprosy? Why was I thrown into the sea? And why was I called a Chandal?" The questions would uncover a past life that Shripal was shocked to hear. In his past life, Shripal was King Shrikant and his queen Srimati was reborn as Maina Sundari. He was proud, fond of hunting, and dismissive of holy men. Queen Srimati, a pious lady, opposed his ways and often warned him of the consequences of such actions. But Shrikant ignored her advice, and his choices invited powerful karmic results. Shrikant had once usurped the throne of King Samant, and in a power turn of karma, Samant was reborn as Ajit Sen, the very uncle who seized Shripal's throne in this life. But this was not the beginning, this was only the beginning of karmic consequences. Once, Shrikant mocked the holy man and laughed at him, calling him a leper. His 700 soldiers also mocked this holy man. That cruel laughter echoed back into this life. Shripal and the 700 soldiers suffered leprosy. Another time, Shrikant pushed a holy man performing Kayutsar into a river, nearly drowning him. In this life, the karma returned. That karma returned when Shripal himself was thrown into the sea. One more karmic bond was still waiting. One was kar- One more karmic wound was still waiting. Once Shripal insulted a holy man, observing a 30-day fast by calling him a Chandal. That same label returned to Shripal in this life. But how did such a sinner earn rebirth as a prince? The answer is profound. Why was he reborn a prince? Because he eventually followed Queen Srimati's advice to seek atonement. Guided by a guru, they took Prayaschitta, performing Navpad Aaradhana together and completed the sacred oath. They were appreciated by Srimati's 8 friends who became the 8 queens of Shripal. This pure devotion on Navpad bore fruit, and Shrikant and Srimati were reborn as Prince Shripal and Queen Maina Sundari. But Shripal still sought guidance. What was the right path for him now? Shripal then asked for guidance on what path he should follow in his life. Acharya Ajit Sen explained that Shripal could not renounce the world yet, as his Bhogavli karmas of worldly pleasures, was still unfolding. Instead, he advised Shripal to follow the 12 vows of a householder with complete faith, while continuing his deep devotion to Navpad. But destiny still held one more divine secret for Shripal. Acharya Ajit Sen revealed that through Shripal's deep devotion to the Navpad, he would rise to the ninth heaven, complete 9 births, and ultimately attain moksha. Shripal rejoiced, for the sacred number 9 had always guided his life. He had 9 queens, 9 sons, the ninth heaven, the ninth birth of liberation, and his unwavering worship of the Navpad. And the legacy he left behind was just as extraordinary. Throughout his life, King Shripal continued the Navpad Aradhana every year. During the Navpad Oli worship, King Shripal and Queen Maina would complete the ritual by performing a grand Udyapan, a special concluding ceremony performed with pure bhav. They left behind a shining legacy of faith and devotion. We now step into the timeless learnings. These lessons are as relevant today as they were in Shripal's time. Events beyond our control, like Shripal's leprosy or Maina Sundari's being married to a leper, are the results of past karma. Resisting them only creates more pain. Inner peace begins when we accept that we are clearing an old karmic debt and shift our focus to our accountability. Acceptance is the first step towards freedom. Acceptance doesn't mean resignation, Karma brings the challenge, but Purusharth, our effort and actions, help us rise above it. Shripal didn't wait to be cured. He and Mainasundri actively devoted themselves to the Navpad. Our actions today shape the destiny we will live tomorrow. Karma is the law of cause and effect. What you give, return backs to you. The story proves that thoughts, words, and actions have consequences. He mocked a monk as a leper, so he became one. He called a monk a chandal, so he was branded one. He tried to drown a monk, so he was thrown into the sea. He usurped a throne, so his throne was usurped. Like a boomerang, every action we send out finds its way back to us, sooner or later. To navigate these karmic waters, we need the Guru Tattva, as spiritual teachers, as sadhus and sadhvis. Just as Shripal and Maina learned the Navpad under Acharya Muni Chandra Suriji, we too need a Guru to guide us and protect us from karmic mistakes. Guidance turns confusion into clarity. Sincere devotion is a powerful shield. Shripal and Maina's intense Navpada Aaradhana burnt away the heavy karma of leprosy. True devotion creates an unseen protection, guarding us from dangers we may never even be aware of. Devotion purifies what karma once darkened. Inner devotion gives strength, but worldly success requires action. Chipal did not just pray, he bravely stepped out, challenging his pure thoughts, words, and actions to create his path of opportunities. Faith lights the path, action helps us walk it. When Shripal protected the ascetics selflessly, he unexpectedly received two siddhis. Likewise, when we do good without expectation, we create powerful punya that returns to help us when we need it most. Selfless acts are seeds. Their fruits appear when the time is right. Shripal forgave even his enemies, Dhaval Seth and his uncle Ajit Sen. Forgiveness is not for the other person, it is for our own peace. Holding a grudge is like drinking poison. Letting go frees the heart from resentment. Forgiveness is the fastest path to inner peace. Social status is fragile. One sister sought a prince and became a captive. The faithful Maina married a leper and became a queen. We must never let success breed ego or look down on the unfortunate. Acknowledgement, acknowledging the difficult circumstances and the people, both good and bad, who became the nimit, the instrumental cause of our rise. Humility keeps us grounded in gratitude. We do not need to leave our families to walk a spiritual path by maintaining harmony at home, like Maina welcoming the 8 new wives without jealousy and following the 12 vows of a householder. Our worldly life becomes a doorway to spiritual progress. Spirituality begins wherever we choose to live with purity. Let's summarize. This story is on the power and blessings of Navpad Aradhana, from faith to fortune, from trials to triumphs, from leaper to liberation. Thank you for watching and learning with me. If the story added value to your life, please subscribe to Love for Jainism by Neha Gandhi Gill and turn on notifications. Your support helps me share these priceless Jain Dharma stories with our community. Jai Jinendra. If I have knowingly or unknowingly written or said anything in thoughts, word, or deed against with Ragsvani, I seek forgiveness. Vichami Dukram.